Hello, folks. The old sergeant here. Welcome. I have been a fan of Star Trek since watching the original series from a hospital bed in the mid 60s. Also, for over a decade now, I have been a great fan of Japanese anime. I am also a Christian. So recent events in the anime community has filled me with great anger. There is one individual I highly respect caught in the culture war, the American Cold Civil War. Victor Joseph Mangala is an American actor and musician known for his prolific voice acting work in the English dubs of Japanese anime, the most notable being Edward Elric from the Full Metal Alchemist series, for which he earned an American Anime Award for Best Actor in 2007. In 1999, Mr. Mignogna started his voice acting career as Vega in Street Fighter II 5, most recently as the character Broly in 2019's movie Dragon Ball Super Broly. Because of his love for Star Trek, he produced the professional quality fan series Star Trek Continues from 2013 to 2017, where they continued and concluded the original Enterprise's 5-year mission. Mignogna played Captain James T. Kirk. Vic is a frequent convention guest that loves interacting with his fans, taking pictures, and signing autographs till his hands fall off. He was always there to make sure everyone got their time with him. He is noted for his great love and kindness he shows to his fans, with lots of hugs and kisses on the cheek or forehead. He has done this since he started in the anime industry some 20 years ago. He often talks about being a Christian and what it means in his life. He frequently did Sunday morning discussions with the fans about Christianity. In recent weeks, there has been completely unfounded allegations of being homophobic and anti-Semitic, along with sexual assault and even pedophilia. Charges that Mr. Mignogna strongly and unequivocally denies. It is my belief that Mr. Mignogna was targeted because he is a Christian at the top of the anime industry. All charges coming from social justice warriors wanting to take a scalp and take out a well-known Christian voice actor. With only allegations, Mr. Mignogna was fired from Rooster Teeth and Funimation. Almost all, if not all, of his future convention appearances have been canceled. He had his non-voice acting jobs taken by a famous female voice actress that made some unknown allegations, all because of his Christian love and that he hugged his fans. This was a plan organized. Saul Alinskyan's socialist attack used Alinsky's target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. There are now many videos on YouTube debunking these allegations in detail. Please find and check them out. A lot of people on Twitter conspired to #KickVic. Some of the things that apparently were done was to Photoshop pictures and to lie about events and videos. They openly plotted how to take the man down. Anime News Network went full in to point out taking a picture and claiming that the woman was terrified as Mangala molested her. The woman in the picture said that it was not what happened and demanded they remove the picture from the story. And again, there was his famous female voice actress co-worker that claimed something happened. To this something happened, where is the police report? She put out a post saying to believe survivors. When pressed on Twitter about how she was a victim, she just made non-answer answers until she started banning the people for daring to question her. It is clear this is another Me Too false allegation. Convenient she got his positions within the two companies. She is now threatening anyone that criticizes her with legal action. That includes YouTubers reporting and commenting on the situation. Some people have now started calling this Anime Gate. with the obvious and open collusion to destroy a man for his Christian beliefs. It is reported that Mr. Mignogna is now looking into legal options. He has a lot of people to go after. I hope he ends up owning Rooster Teeth and Funimation. How many other people, especially white males, have been singled out to be taken out? These social justice warriors don't need to contact and organize with everyone. They know that once someone starts the ball rolling, all the other social justice warrior leftist communists will join in, especially if some of them can find a way to join the Me Too victim club. Others will be intimidated into silence, fearing that if they defend someone, they are next. Mr. Mignogna posted on Twitter about these attacks. This is his letter. This is the letter that Vic Mignogna posted on Twitter. This is heartbreaking. Over the last few days, a number of comments and allegations have been voiced on social media. I'd like to share my thoughts. Homophobic? No. Some of my dearest friends are members of the LGBTQ community, including several that I brought into my production family on Star Trek Continues. This is a blatantly false statement. I said many years ago that I didn't think a particular character I voiced was gay, contrary to what some fans believed, not because it matters to me at all, but because I was told that was the case. I also elected not to autograph Yoi because I am homophobic, but because I didn't wish to sign material that was not canon. Anti-Semitic? I can't even grasp where this is coming from until someone pointed out to me a moment years ago where I was on a panel and referred to a bunch of noise coming from another room jokingly as a Holocaust. As I said then, it was a metaphor for Armageddon, death, and mass destruction, but not the Holocaust. Could I have chosen a different word? Sure. In retrospect, I could have. And of course, I am sorry that I offended anyone. I sincerely apologize to any convention staff member who felt I was anything less than kind and grateful to be included in their event. Unknown to most staffers, contractual arrangements made in advance with cons were occasionally not honored when I arrived, and that made me frustrated. That does not excuse making anybody feel badly, and I am deeply sorry. I would also like to sincerely apologize to anyone that ever felt my interaction with them, a hug or a kiss on the cheek or forehead, was crossing the line. Never in a million years would it be my intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Rather, it was meant to show gratitude and support. I come from an affectionately expressive family where such displays are commonplace, but I understand that not everybody feels the same way. Hence, I will not be interacting in the same way with fans in the future. Understand this is the climate we live in, and this is how it has to be. To my fans who ask me for hugs, etc., I'm sorry, but please know that I am no less grateful to or supportive of you. Finally, any allegations of sexual harassment, sexual assault, most disturbingly pedophilia, are completely and utterly false. My heart weeps for anyone who endures a violation of this kind. So to be accused of harming others in this way, I have no words. Sincerely, Vic Mignogna. Mr. Mignogna's reputation and livelihood have been taken away with these false allegations. Where does he go to get his reputation back? This is one battle in America's cold civil war. I have attached a couple of videos. One is part of one Sunday get-together, and the other is his apology for hugging people. Folks, stay vigilant.
You are...
All right, guys, find some seats.
You're blind? But I love you. Thank you. I am so... let's let everybody come in for a minute, okay? Can we wait until everybody comes in? Is that okay?
There's like 2 seats up here. There's a couple over there.
How do we get that close? 2 seats up here if anybody wants to come up. Sure. It's like nursery school, right? Just kind of sit around the floor. Are we able to close those doors? Only so it's not hard to hear. You know what I mean? So that there's not so much sound coming in from outside.
Let me see about that.
Is that okay? I just don't want to be like, what did he say? What was that?
That's me. That's why you're front row.
You guys, I am so happy you're here. You have no idea how happy I am to be here with you. The last thing in the world that I want is for this panel to be a downer. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
And I don't want it to be a downer. But I would like to say some things. Is that okay?
Yes.
There will be tears. So I want to apologize for that.
We love you, Vic.
For those of you that may not know, and God bless you for not knowing, there's been a lot of ugliness lately, and things online. And I wanted to say something about it. And I also want to say I'm very mindful that there are many different ages in this room, so I want us to all be mindful of that, right? So if you're thinking of asking a question or something, you know what I mean? Be aware that there are a lot of different ages of people here. As I've been reflecting over the last 10 days, over the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of soul searching. You know, when difficult things happen, at first you're kind of angry, right? You're mad. But then you take a step back and you're like, what am I supposed to learn here? How could I be better? How could I do better? And I've learned something, and I wanted to share it with you. As long as I've been doing events, which is a long time, I've always been very demonstrative. Hug everybody, you know what I mean? That's just always been who I am. You could go back and find panels from or Q&A or autograph sessions from 10 years ago, 12, 15 years ago. And I'm doing the same thing. That in my mind, it's a way of saying thank you and expressing kindness and appreciation and warmth and support for a lot of people that could use it. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. But here's what I've learned. Just because 1,000 people want a hug doesn't mean everybody does. And I got really lazy. Over the years, I got really lazy. And I got used to being the same person all the time. And I was insensitive to the fact that there could be people out there that don't want that. And it has never, ever been my intention to offend or hurt anyone. Welcome. It has never been my intention or desire to offend anyone. And I would like to think that the tens of thousands of people that I've met over the years know that. But there are people that don't want that kind of interaction. And I have not been sensitive to them. I see that. As I've been reflecting on what's been going on. And here's the thing, guys. Voice actors are no different than you are. We're bozos. I mean, honestly, we're just dumb humans trying to do our best, you know what I mean? We're just trying to get along in the world, and we stumble and we fall, right? How many of you know that you do that, right? How many of you would pray to God that somebody didn't follow you around every minute of the day with a camera and log every dumb thing you ever did or said? You know what I mean? I am a work in progress, just like you. And I have made some mistakes that I regret. I've never meant any harm to anybody. All of my gestures of hugging somebody for photos or kissing somebody on the forehead, or the cheek is, in my mind at the moment, was a sign of appreciation and kindness and warmth. But it was wrong. It was really wrong of me to assume. So I am profoundly sorry to anyone out there that I offended. That was never my intention. Somebody sent me something I wanted to share with you that was really... Though no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending. Now, I hope that I can have the opportunity to make amends to people that I've offended somehow or hurt. That has never been my intention or desire, but I recognize that I need to be sensitive to all. There are a lot of different people in this room, am I right? Lots of different people. All of you have your own histories, your own heartaches, your own failures and flaws, your own strengths and skills, and we're all different. And I made the mistake of kind of painting with a broad brush. Does that make sense? And I am profoundly sorry for that. And I would like to ask anyone out there that I may have offended to accept my sincere apology and know that I have learned from my reflection during this time, I have learned that I need to alter the way I engage with people. And it's difficult sometimes, you guys, because when 100 people come up and ask for a hug, you start assuming that the 101st one wants one too. And it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? But you get lazy. You just get used to it. That was my fault. I am certainly not perfect by any means. I've been very blessed to have a career in this field and to do a lot of great shows, and I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful for that. But I'm just a dumb guy like you, just trying my best, and trying my best. And so I want to apologize. If there's anyone in here, I don't know, if there's anyone in here that ever had an uncomfortable moment at my expense, I am so sorry. That was never my intention. Do you hear me? I mean, I want to make sure I'm communicating to you clearly. I wrote some things down because I knew I wouldn't be able to think. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Now I have to just say this because I don't want any of this to be negative. But any kind of claims of assault or I even want to use those words, molestation, or abuse. No. And my heart hurts for the people that actually have been, and my heart hurts for anyone who feels that. I am mortified to think that I would have made somebody feel that way. And you know, in our current setting, you have to be more careful, right? And I'm just a dumb old man. I've been doing this so long, and like I said, when you get affirmation from so many people, you start to believe it. Does that make sense? When 500 people walk up and tell you how much they love you and appreciate your work, you start to believe that crap. And then you start to assume, well, she liked me and they all liked me, so she probably likes me too. No, maybe not, right? Or she's different. She deserves the respect of having her own, right? Of having her own space and her own opinions, and she may be different, and that's where I've really messed up. Sorry.
All right, guys, let's give a hand to Vic. Vic is here talking. So let's give him a minute and let's have some questions and the
I also want to ask you really quickly, a bright spot in the darkness. Thank you. I also want to say, any of you that are fans that have been supportive, you have no idea how much I appreciate that. But I don't want you to be the subject of hatred and anger as well, just because you're trying to stick up for someone. I wouldn't want that for you. So thank you for those of you that have been kind and supportive, and it really breaks my heart when I hear that somebody tried to speak words of positivity and say, hey, I've known this guy, I've seen this guy 10 times over the last years, and he's always been nice and kind, and I watched him interact with 500 people in an autograph line, and I mean, it seemed fine. And then those people get attacked because they're trying to be supportive. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anybody. And I can't even speak to why some people would say the things they say. You guys probably have some ideas of your own about why some people say things online, and put stories out there. All I know is that I am profoundly sorry if any of my actions meant innocently offended anyone. And if you know anybody like that is one of those people, please extend my sincerest apologies. And I'm going to do better. If I have the chance, if I'm able to continue, I intend to make amends. I intend to not give anybody any reason to ever feel uncomfortable around. That has never been my heart, never. I hope you know that. Who's got a really pointless, funny question?
I want to convince you. And if somebody chooses not to believe in something or not to embrace something, there's not much you can do about that, right? There's not much you can do about that. But there's one thing that no one on the planet Earth can ever argue with you about. You know what it is? Your story. Right?
Yes.
Nobody can argue with what you have experienced in your life. So if I said to this young man right here, I was lost and alone, and I sensed God's love for me, and I reached out and I accepted it for myself, and I feel His Spirit in me, and he charges me every day and walks with me through my life. This guy can't go to me. No, he doesn't. No, you didn't ever feel that. Right? You can't do that because it's my experience. It's my own personal story. So while you can argue back and forth with somebody all day long about the merits, right, of of such and such being accurate or such and such being true or not true. Nobody can argue with you about your own experience. So I want to share with you my experience, okay? I hope that's all right with you guys.
Yeah.
I've done this at some other conventions, so if you happen to have caught it online, I'll try to make it interesting here. It may surprise you, or may not surprise you probably, to know that I was born in church. I grew up in church. My grandfather, Pastor Robert Nitz, was the pastor of the Church of the Open Door in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. I'm talking dinky town. Like, the attendance of ASEN is probably greater than the town I was born in, okay? And my grandfather was one of the most wonderful men I ever knew. My dad left when I was very young, as if you were in the panel the other day. My dad left when I was 9, and my grandfather very much became like a father figure to me. And he was one of the greatest men I've ever known. An amazing man. And he was so committed and driven to be the pastor of this little church in this little town. He poured his heart and his life into that congregation of people. Well, I was one of them. I grew up in it. I mean, you guys don't have any idea how deeply. I mean, my mom probably went into labor in the choir loft. I mean, we were there all the time. My mom played the piano for the church. My dad was, while he was there, was like an elder, like a deacon in the church. My grandfather was the pastor. We were there all the time. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. For those of you churchy people in here, you know what I'm talking about, midweek service. And then, you know, and then my church had like Thursday night, like outreach. So people would come together at the church and we would go out to the malls or the shopping centers or whatever and pass out literature and invite people to come, stuff like that. And then the next thing you know, it's Sunday morning again, right? So I was there an awful lot. I was one of those bratty pastor's kids who the Sunday school teachers hated because I knew more about the Bible than they did. You know those kids. If you guys go to church or maybe even in your schools, there are people that, you know, they're real kind of, oh yeah, I know that, I memorized that, you know. And I was one of those little bratty kids who like had blue ribbons and little trophies for all of the Bible memorization contests that I won. I memorized hundreds of verses out of the King James. So now you know we're talking serious business, because that's some fancy language.
Yeah.
And then in about I'm not going to tell you that, that'll date me. Then at some point in time, my grandfather decided to start a Christian school in our church. The Open Door Christian Academy. Guess who was student number 1? His grandson, Viktor. So suddenly, I'm in my little white shirt, tie, clean cut little boy, going to church, and by the way, or going to school, and by the way, the Christian school was in the church, right? It was in the building. Some of you even know what I'm talking about there. It was literally downstairs in all of the classrooms is where the school resided. Now, do you know what that means now? That means that I was in church in that building Sunday morning, Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all day for school, Wednesday night for midweek service, Thursday all day for school, Thursday night for outreach, Friday all day for school, Saturday there's usually a youth event, and then we're back to Sunday. I probably should have just taken a sleeping bag to the church and just stayed there because it would have saved a lot of money and gas. I was there all the time, right? All the time. One afternoon, on Wednesdays, by the way, we would have a chapel service at the school, at the academy. And it would, you know, different people would speak, maybe the youth minister, maybe my grandfather, maybe one of the teachers. But on this particular day, the guy that was speaking was the youth minister, John Ferguson. John Ferguson spoke, and I'm going to read you the passage that he spoke on that day. And I'm gonna do something that I think is kind of fun. I'm going to read from the King James Version, and then I'm going to read it from another version that I absolutely adore called The Message. It's a very contemporary translation, so you can see how different it's written, but it says the same thing, but it's just very impactful. It's much more like we communicate. You ready? I'm going to read this to you, so I want you to take it in. Oh, you got an extension for me. Look at you. Time. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Look at me. I'm coming to get you, Ed. I can come all the way. I may even get all the way back to the back, but I can't back there. All right, let me read this passage to you, okay? You ready? This is the King James. Matthew. This is the Gospel of Matthew, and it starts with verse 21, chapter 7, verse 21. You ready? Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Here comes the part that really grabbed me. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? Have we not cast out devils in thy name, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me. Now, let me read it in the Message. Ready? You heard that, right? You heard what I just read. Now, listen to it in a contemporary version. Knowing the correct password, saying master, master, for instance, isn't going to get you anywhere. What is required is serious obedience, doing what my Father wills. I can see it now at the final judgment. Thousands strutting up to me saying, Master, we preached the message. We bashed the demons. Our God-sponsored projects had everyone talking. And do you know what I'm going to say? You missed the boat. All you did was use me to make yourselves important. You don't impress me one bit. You're out of here. Yikes, right? Oh, that's heavy. You hear the difference, right? The King James is like, oh, flowery and in thy name prophesy, blah, 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 right? And then boom. The way we talk, you kind of translate it, it's like, oh man, that's heavy. Well, at 13 years old, when John Ferguson read that passage, he then went on to talk about how sad it was going to be the day that thousands of people stood before God who grew up in church, who knew all the Bible verses, who went to Christian schools, who dressed nice and learned, who memorized everything. How sad it was going to be when those people stood before God and he said to them, I'm sorry, you never really had a relationship with me. You're just doing all the outward stuff. You're just kind of floating along, like you just thought you were in the club because you went to Christian school. You thought you were somehow cool because your grandfather was a pastor. You thought you were fine because you memorized Bible verses. That's all on the outside. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not internal. And I was sitting there at 13 years old thinking, wow, that's kind of heavy. Sounds like he's talking to me a little bit. Mm. I mean, I always thought I was cool. I always thought I was in the club, right? I'm in the Christian club, right? I have to be, right? My grandfather's the pastor of the church, for crying out loud. My mom plays the piano. I sing in church. I stand right up on that stage and sing Christian songs. I've got blue ribbons all over my wall for memorizing Bible verses. Look how short my hair is. I wear a tie to school. Surely I'm in the club. And when he read that passage, I thought to myself, oh no. And I realized that I had never for myself personally asked God to come and live with me. Did you notice I didn't say Catholic? Did you notice I didn't say Baptist? Did you notice I didn't say Presbyterian, Methodist, Episcopalian, Lutheran, blah, 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 blah? Those are all words that guys made up. That's not God, okay? God's interested in what? Relationship with you.